Hey everyone, welcome into the Flippin' Hippos YouTube channel. I'm Star. If you're new here, you have not already, please consider subscribing to the channel and helping us feed a hungry hippo. And don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Today we're going to talk about 5 reasons you should not quit being a reseller. I see this every day. I see it in Facebook groups. I see it on Instagram. I see it in emails and personal messages that I get from folks. Something happens and it makes them want to quit, makes them want to throw in the towel. And there's 5 very common reasons every single day that make somebody say, well, I quit. This isn't worth it anymore. And I'm going to probably sound maybe just a tad snarky or sarcastic through some of this video because it's absolutely ridiculous that you would want to throw a tantrum and quit over some of these reasons. 4 of these reasons, 4 of these things that can happen are part of doing business. It's just going to happen to all of us at one time or another, probably every day, probably all of the time. And it's just part of doing business. And it's very, very important that you learn how to take your emotions out of your business. I've talked about this on this channel for 7 years, maybe not so much recently, which is why I'm doing this video today. Your emotions have no place in your business. Your business is business. It's just business. When someone opens a return or leaves a negative feedback, they're not attacking you personally. So you can't take it personally. You can't get all bent out of shape and upset and throw your hands up and say, well, I quit. And there is one thing on this list that you can control. So the 5 reasons I hear most often as reasons people do get upset and think they're going to throw in the towel and quit are returns, negative feedback, one nasty person or customer, buyer, slow sales, and comparing yourself to others. And that's the one we're really going to talk about towards the end that you can control. You can stop doing that and stop making yourself feel bad. But let's talk about returns. They're inevitable. It's part of doing business, especially if you sell used clothing. Returns are going to happen. Now, if you try to avoid taking them, especially on eBay, you're going to end up with a lot of item not as described because there are some dishonest people out there who will do whatever they have to do to return something. So if you say you don't accept returns, you actually do. And that's usually where I see people get upset over returns. More often than not, it's the folks that think they don't take returns that get upset when one happens. Most of the time, used clothing sellers do accept returns because most of us are aware that this is just a natural part of business. It's going to happen. They're few and far between, knock on wood. But when I see folks upset, it's because, well, I said I don't take returns and they're trying to return it well, you do take returns and people will find a way and they will find a dishonest way and you will end up with a ding on your account. So just keep that in mind, but don't take it personally. If somebody buys something and it doesn't fit them and they want to return it, that's not a personal attack on you. Then there's negative feedback. I know it sucks. It really does. But just keep in mind, again, keep those emotions out of your business. Negative feedback is a bummer. But for the most part, you can ask for a revision. You can ask eBay to remove it most times. If you offer free returns, you're covered and you can get that negative feedback removed. At least you used to be able to. I had one removed last week, so I would assume that that's still the case. They didn't like their item. We offered to let them use their free return. They didn't want to, so they left the negative instead, and then we got it removed. Sometimes you're not going to be able to get them removed or you're not going to be able to get a revision. If they're threatening negative feedback, in order to get a refund or return ahead of time, that's called feedback extortion. You can report the buyer to eBay, and then if they leave the negative feedback, you can get it removed. If they are attacking you personally using bad language, calling you names, you can get it removed. But there will be times when you just can't, and you can just respond to it and professionally, hey, we offer returns, we offered to fix this, they didn't want to, whatever you need to say. Don't respond to it until you've tried to get it removed, though, because I did hear that once you respond, it's there forever, like they won't remove that. But we've all gotten them. Like I said, I just had to have one removed. We've all gotten negative feedback. You are not going to please all of the people all of the time. There are some really unhappy people out there that no matter what you do, what kind of customer service you offer them, how above and beyond you go, they're just not going to be happy. And they're going to have to say something really shitty to you and negative feedback. And that's just how some people are. Some people also don't want to be bothered with returning items and they want to leave a negative feedback instead. It happens. It's not a personal attack on you. And it's not a reason to quit reselling altogether, because think that one negative feedback, how many positives have you gotten? How many good sales did you get? How much money have you made? Like, it's not a whole reason to quit. And that kind of leads right into the next one, dealing with one bad person. If you get a lowball offer, it's not a personal attack, guys. It's somebody being cheap. It's somebody feeling you out and seeing how cheap they can get something for. If you get, the lowball offer, or somebody being rude, or somebody leaving a nasty message, or if you are on YouTube or Instagram and you're in the community and somebody has to come in and say something rude to you, they're just not happy with themselves, really. And they're not a reason to quit. Especially if you're going to be on the social media. You really got to have thick skin for that. And just learn to just delete the stuff and move on with your day. But one unhappy, miserable, toxic person messaging you something rude or sending you a lowball offer is not a reason to quit reselling. And it's not a reason to get upset. Because again, emotions don't belong in business. If somebody wants to send me a nasty message, I ignore it. I delete it. I move on with my day. I'm not going to sit there and engage. You know what? That's what they want. When people say mean things to you, it's because they're looking for a fight and they want you to fight back and they want you to respond. So I don't. I just ignore it. Slow sales, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It happens every summer. We all know that. It happens if anything's wonky in the economy. Like this Q4 is not like other Q4s. This is the slowest Q4 we've ever had. I'm not going to quit. I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep listing. I'm going to keep selling. I'm going to keep going because it has to come out the other side. Slow times, bad economies, recessions, they can't last forever. Of course, the other side of that coin is you need to do what you need to do to put food on your table and take care of your family. So if sales are so slow that you're not making enough to pay your bills or put food on your table, then of course you may need to do something else part-time in the meantime. I touched briefly on that during my live show last week when I had Josh on, but I do have a friend that has started doing Uber Eats or DoorDash, and she lives in a really big city up north, out west. That's what I wanted to say, west. And so it's working out really well for her. But we had this whole conversation that she felt like she had failed reselling. And it's like, no, you didn't fail. You're still making sales. You're still listing. You're still doing it. It's just that people aren't spending as much money. And she's got small kids. You got to do what you got to do to feed your family, to take care of your kids. So you don't have to feel like you're a failure. But you don't have to give up either. You can always have this as a part-time and do something else to make ends meet and come back to this when it picks up again. I just don't see any reason to quit. If you have all of the inventory, if you've already done all of the work into the photos and the listings, leave it up. If you have to do something else to make money, leave what you've already done there, right? Because it'll sell and you'll still make extra money. I just don't think you should just throw it all in and donate it and just quit. You've already put the work in, leave it there. If you're making enough to continue paying your bills, but sales are slow, just keep going. Keep swimming, as they like to say in Finding Nemo. Just keep swimming. Just keep listening, because eventually people will start shopping again, and the more listings you have, the better off you'll be. But I also wanted to add, you don't have to feel like a failure if you have to go do something else to put food on your table or pay your bills. There's no shame in taking care of yourself and your family. But I wouldn't necessarily go, oh, hey, this isn't making what it used to make. I'm just going to quit and throw in the towel and get rid of all my inventory. You already paid for your inventory. You put that work in to get it photographed, listed. There's no sense in just donating it back. Just sell part-time. Do your shipping every third day. Do whatever you need to do. And the last thing I want to talk about, a lot of people compare themselves to others, which you should never, ever do. Never. Then they start to feel bad about themselves, and then they want to quit because they feel like they're not successful or they're not doing as well as John Smith down the road. Here's the thing. John Smith down the road may or may not be telling you the truth, and may look like he's doing well and making all these sales. You don't know. You don't know if he really is. And his situation could be different from you. Somebody that has no kids, no debt, and very little bills can look like they're living high on the hog and be making less money than you if you've got kids and bills and debt. Do you see what I'm saying? So don't compare yourself to other people, because everyone's situation is different and everyone has different amounts of money they need for their bills, different situations with kids, pets, family members, debt, how many cars you have, how much your mortgage is, how much your rent is, whatever you're doing there. And everyone's cost of goods is different too. So, you see me opening boxes all the time and just constantly getting inventory. I don't pay more than $2 for anything. And most things I only pay $1 for. So if you live in an area where everything is $20 or $10 or your cost of goods is a lot higher, and you're looking at me and going, why is Star always buying all this inventory and I'm not? That doesn't mean you're not as successful as me. It just means I'm getting it a lot cheaper. And I'm also scrolling away so I don't have to go anywhere till spring. But don't compare yourself to other people. It will never work out good for you, because you're either going to be smug and a butt face and think you're better than somebody, which you should never do either. Don't do that. Or you're going to feel like you don't measure up, and that's not good either. It's okay to look up to successful people and say, hey, look at what they're doing. Let me emulate some of that. But take what you want, take what you can, and make it work for you. And just remember that everybody's situation is different, and everybody wants to be different. Everybody has different lifestyles, different needs, different wants, different things they spend their money on, different things they're willing to do to make that money. Just stay in your own lane, really. It's okay to look at what others are doing and learn from them. When you watch the unboxings and the what sold, then you can learn what sells. That's great. But don't keep up with the Jones. Don't worry about what other people are doing as far as your own successes. Here's the thing. If you are paying your bills and you are putting food on the table or contributing to that, if you're in a partnership, then you're successful. Whether you make $30,000 a year and live in a cabin in the woods, or you make $250,000 a year and live in a mansion with 5 Lamborghinis, if that's the life you choose to live and you make enough money to upkeep that lifestyle that you're choosing to live, then you are successful. And you don't have to worry about what anybody else is doing. So listen, it's really important. The takeaway from this video should be, keep your emotions out of your business. And remember, a return, a negative feedback, a nasty person is not a personal attack on you. and you need to just be businesslike about it and professional and deal with it without emotions, without being a personal attack or getting into an argument, because it's not personal and it should never be. And your emotions really have no place in your business. Slow times are not a reason to quit. Do what you need to do to make the money you need to make, but don't quit. And don't compare yourself to other people. Stop it. Stop it. That's never good. I cannot preach that one enough. I talk about it a lot, but it's super important because I think a lot of new sellers get stuck in that rut where they're comparing themselves to others and being concerned that they're not as successful as other people. And that just leads you down a very dark path to feeling bad about yourself. And nobody likes to feel bad about themselves. So just remember, if you're making the money that you need to make and want to make for yourself, you're fine. You're successful. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, let me know down below. Go be productive. Go make some money. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Y'all are the best. Bye.